Hello, my name is Michelle DeFrancesco. I'm a PhD music education student at the University of Utah in the School of Music. Today, I would like to talk about the very little amount of scholarly research that's available about preparing pre-service music teachers for online teaching. There's a void that exists in literature discussing this and discussing the future for our pre-K through 12 online music teachers. This review, like I said, will present some of the little research that's there, and then I also made some phone calls, so I will talk about that. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced teachers of all levels and disciplines to use digital course content. And my speculations about why we don't have enough peer-reviewed articles are these. Number one, higher music educators don't feel ready to teach virtual methods to students because they are still learning their own practices and working out their own online kinks for teaching university level students. So these higher educators don't know perhaps what's available to the teaching community for K-12 music because they have not taught in those communities. Also, there has been some competition between brick and mortar schools and online virtual educating schools. And that comes because these online schools are charter schools. So the teachers in the charter schools are not part of the unions. And then there is an issue with funding these charter schools and taking money away from brick and mortar public schools. So perhaps we have done a disservice in ignoring what online schools have been teaching for the last 10 years to learn from them, but perhaps not. We will find out. So teachers in higher education research institutions are also researchers. Their time is split between research, teaching, and now learning online teaching methods. And then on top of that, learning the online teaching methods of their teachers who are going into K-12 teaching environments. So that is another concern. The largest virtual K-12 charter schools are K12.com, and that's in every state pretty much, and then Connections Academy, which is in Indiana. I know of that one just because I'm from Indiana, or I came from Indiana before coming to Utah. So some states do have their own online charter schools, as Indiana does. So I started getting on the phone and calling some of these people. K-12 uses Spotlight Music for K through 8 grades, and that is by McGraw-Hill. And Connections Academy uses for K through 8 Pearson Online and Blended Learning communities. The problem comes with junior high, well, really with high school. So Utah Virtual Academy, which is a K-12 school, they have begun to use outsourcing to local colleges. And they call that quote unquote destinations career programs. Students will dually enroll in local colleges and they will pursue vocational and career pathways in so doing. And then Indiana Connections Academy, they used to have general music offerings in high school, but because they weren't choir, band, orchestra, group identification classes, they actually lost their enrollment in those music education classes. And so now they offer 2D and 3D art and photography as arts electives. So there is a void for sure in online learning when it comes to high school and junior high, actually K through 12 in general, group learning, which is very, very important. It's a very important component of teaching music. So we, in the higher music education field, need to figure out if there's a way for us to get better bandwidth, 5G, to get Ethernet, and to figure out ways that we can teach groups in all of our classes. So concerning presenting this material, I've put together a poster presentation, And my thesis concerning this review of literature is that pre-service music teachers must prepare to teach some kind of online music for public schools because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I believe that if our students apply for public school jobs unequipped with digital curricular methods, they are going to be disadvantaged and they may not be hireable. At a certain point, higher music educators are responsible for guiding pre-service teachers to use best practices for virtual learning. I'm going to go into some of these references that I have on this chart. And I'm going to start with the Veblen et al., which is the International Journal of Music Education at the bottom of my references here, called Children's Clapping Games on the Virtual Playground. In this peer-reviewed article, Veblen et al. Of 2018 wrote about the fluency of children's clapping games on YouTube. The hypothesis was that uploaded clapping games would multiply as other children watch these clapping games, and that is exactly what happened. So their hypothesis was correct, that YouTube's algorithm was such that it suggested clapping games to the viewers who viewed it and then uploaded their own videos, and those multiplied and totaled the numbers to a very high rate. So they found that 50 million people viewed their chosen 103 children's clapping games between the study's dates of 2014 to 2016. Suggestions made by Veblen et al. Were further studies to create regional databases, international studies, and research from areas where access is limited, and a compiling of the historical context of clapping games. So when I searched YouTube for the words music education, I received 534 billion results in 0.41 seconds. In contrast, when searching for peer-reviewed articles about teaching music education online, there is very, very little, just a few. And so it shows that people are learning music online. But we need more peer-reviewed articles about this. Caden's study was called, and this is Caden down here on my list, from Educational Sciences, about COVID-19 school closures. He did one case study about a Mr. Carl, and I'm going to use he, him, and all of those titles for Mr. Carl since they named him a Mr. He taught various classes within a diverse population of students in Alaska. It was in a rural Alaska. Some of these students were homeless, so when Mr. Carl reached out to them, he could not find them. They didn't have phones or computers, and he could not reach them. I can't imagine how a homeless family would make their way in winter in Alaska through this pandemic to a library, so that probably just did not happen. Another study talked about the future of music education in the year 2030. This is Park on my references and OEDC 2019, 220 and 2019 from the Asia Pacific Journal of Education. And this talks about predicting that music education will become a social music education. It will be network oriented instead of brick and mortar. I mean, this is their speculation. So a future society that needs quote unquote personal cognitive thinking skills such as creativity, yay, critical thinking, yay, problem solving, and reflection for job security. Park predicted that music integration with other courses of study would happen, so that music would become integrated into other, and it's already happening. We can see that in history and other areas of general education where music is being integrated, and the music teachers are going to these general teachers and saying, okay, what lesson are you on? I'm going to teach this song to that lesson. And so they're saying this is going to become more active integration online. It's going to become more student focused and less teacher focused. And the teachers will become mentor teachers to these students. So that was one prediction for the year 2030. And then I have a journal article from Pike in 2015, who conducted a study in which 3 student teachers participated in synchronous online piano teaching of their peers. Now, I love this idea because we can do this right now. So we have our music building is set up for teaching in different rooms and videotaping and having a piano in one room, a pianist in one room, a voice student in one room, and a voice teacher in another room, and they're all communicating via sound jack and via Ethernet connections. So within the School of Music, we at this point can do this and teach our students how to peer educate each other and how to use this technology, which they should really learn how to use this technology and learn how to teach each other. We can start that right now. And then the Johnson reference down below of 2017 from the journal Review of Education, Johnson talked about creating a virtual teaching music pedagogy because that's an opportunity for us that it's just not there right now. There is no virtual music teaching pedagogy. And that is an opportunity for all of us to start doing that. And then finally, I talked to a friend in California who is an administrator in a very small public school, brick and mortar school, that has gone online. And I asked that friend how their music teacher is dealing with teaching virtually. And the friend told me that their music teacher has done away with their choirs and bands and orchestras in order to teach general music online, and that teacher is making their own lesson plans and utilizing their own lesson plans, the ones that they've used already, and that teacher is just putting those online, making those available online and teaching from those lessons in an online manner to get general music to K through 8. And for actually K through 6, for junior high and high school, this teacher is teaching individual lessons and group lessons. So not huge band, orchestra, choir, but still able to do some small group lessons. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope that you will let me know if you have questions or comments or any more input about this subject. Thank you so much.